Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Andrew Stott and I'm the Emperor of Stomaria. Today we're going to be discussing some fun facts about Stomaria. Stomaria's foundation. So while Stomaria's founding date is the 16th of June 2019, this was something that I had been working on intermittently since 2018. In fact, when Empress Samantha and I were on our honeymoon in January 2019, which was a Caribbean cruise, any time that Samantha wanted to take a power nap in the cabin, I would go to the lounge with my laptop and write up these essays about why commodity money was going to be such an important part of the nation-building experience which we were about to undertake. And the reason that this all came about in the first place was because in 2018, when me and Samantha were walking into town, going to have some dinner, we ended up having a conversation about our childhoods. I explained that when me and my siblings were younger, we'd like to pretend to be different civilizations throughout history. We'd build forts, tree platforms, and various bits of kit. We had an agrarian economy, a system of taxation, we'd invite our friends over and have these large battles and so on and so forth. And then Samantha took the fateful decision to say, wouldn't it be great if we could just do something like that now? And that one sentence, that one off-the-cuff remark, set everything else in motion. But the reason that the 16th of June 2019 is the official founding date is just because that's when we decided to make everything public. Stomaria's name. Now, a lot of people wrongly assume that the name Stomaria is derived from my own family name, that being Stott, but it's actually derived from a phrase from an RTS game called Empire Earth, when the citizens of the early epochs of the game would say Stoma when given a command.
Talas, Stoma. Carlos, Stoma.
And the reason that I decided to link Stomaria back to this ancient RTS game, which for the record I do still play from time to time, is because this is really what gave rise to my love of civilization building and my keen fascination with ancient history. Without Empire Earth, without this RTS game, it's perfectly possible that Stomaria just wouldn't exist. And so this is my way of paying homage to it. After all, it was this game that gave rise to the activities that me and my siblings would partake in, and the reason that I had that conversation with Samantha in the first place. So you could arguably say that the spark for Stomaria, the initial seed being planted for the eventual foundation of Stomaria, was all the way back in the early 2000s. Stomaria's flag. Now, I spent a lot of time designing the flag because I was fully aware that, just like the name, the actual identity, the brand of this project that I was building relied on a consistent image, and so it was very important that it was done right the first time. So what I initially did is I started to look at the symbols from the ancient Britons, and the reason for this is relatively straightforward. I live in Britain, I am English, I am British, but also I have a keen interest in ancient history, so I thought linking it back to those sorts of civilizations would be worthwhile. But in the end, I decided against this because we were not looking to build a successor state or a successor civilization to any previous nation or civilization or society that had come before us. This was something new, and so I didn't want to tie Stomaria directly to Britain, the European continent, or any other geographical location or society. So I then considered using a griffin, a mythical animal that isn't tied to any nation in the world today. And this was something that was seriously considered, but the intricate design of the actual griffin itself was putting me off using it on the flag because I wanted something that was far more simple and minimalistic. We did, however, go on to use the griffin on our coat of arms as a symbol of loyalty. And after a few other considerations and experimentations, I decided to use the 8-pointed star, because it was a symbol that I was already familiar with. It is relatively universal in that it can be found in many cultures and civilizations, including ancient Sumer, the cradle of human civilization, and it also is a symbol of new beginnings in some parts of the world, all of which made the 8-pointed star the obvious choice. Stomaria's first citizen. When Stomaria was first founded, I took the conscious decision to make sure that we didn't allow anyone to become citizens of Stomaria for the first year of our existence, just while they fleshed everything out and made sure that I was happy with how Stomaria was structured, how we went about ourselves, what our values and aspirations were, and all the rest. However, on the 11th of June 2020, our daughter, Princess Eleanor, was born. So 5 days before Stomaria's 1-year anniversary, Eleanor not only became our first ever citizen after Stomaria's founding, but was also our first ever Stomarian-born citizen. In terms of the first citizen outside of the imperial family to join Stomaria, this honour goes to Ben Harvey, who, in recognition for his contributions to Stomaria up until that point, even before he became a citizen of Stomaria, was also appointed as a Lord of Stomaria. Stomaria's first ally. Now, a few weeks before Stomaria's official founding date on the 16th of June 2019, there was another nation, another community that had been founded, and this was called the Wayward Territories, which would later be more commonly known as the Kingdom of Wayward or just simply Wayward. Now, I had actually come across Wayward because of the postings that they made on Micronational groups, which they contributed quite a lot to at the time. I actually messaged them and reached out to say that I would be interested in meeting up with them at some point because, as it turns out, they were actually very close by, geographically speaking, and that they had a lot to offer. So I ended up travelling down there at the end of July 2019, where I traded some of our silver for their eggs, and we established a formal alliance not long after. After more than 2 years of this relationship remaining unchanged, Wayward approached us about becoming a member state of the Empire, which was formalised in September 2021. A year later, we finalised an agreement where Stomaria would legally purchase one of the plots of land that made up the territory of Wayward, which gave rise to the province of Southward under Stomaria and Wayward South under Wayward. So since our very foundation, we have had a very good working relationship with Wayward, and over the last 7 years, we have maintained that relationship. Stomarian status. So when I founded Stomaria, I was quite comfortable with the idea of using generic silver bullion as a medium of exchange within Stomaria and the Empire. They generally have lower premiums, they're free from capital gains tax if they're Britannia's, they're readily available from any reputable bullion dealer, and at the end of the day, silver is silver regardless of what's stamped on it. But there was this itch to have our own money and monetary system, so we created the first ever silver Stomarian stater coins in 2021, with the first batch featuring Stomaria on one side and the Kingdom of Wayward, which recently joined the Empire, on the other. Now, the name stater is actually the name that's been given to the ancient Lydian coins 2,500 years ago. These were considered to be the first genuine money in the world, the first coins ever in human civilization. And this is reason that we decided to use the name stater, because for those that know us, we are fierce proponents of commodity money, of sound money, of real money, and are fierce critics of fiat currency. In terms of the value of a stater, it's very important to understand that the stater is a unit of account, but is also a unit of weight. So one stater is the equivalent of 1 gram of 999 fine silver. And we do not fix the price of the stater. The price of the silver on the open market dictates the price, the value of our staters. Stomarian industry. Now, despite being founded in 2019, for the first few years of our existence, we had no industries to speak of, and that's because we didn't have the land to facilitate those industries. So between 2019 and 2023, we decided to try and turn Stomaria into a conduit for trade, commerce, and enterprise. That is to say, we would encourage others to develop their own industries and engage with trade with us using silver. First, our own generic silver bullion that we had accumulated, and then our very own silver Stomarian stater coins. We did this with eggs, salmon, wine, jam, copper bars, and so on, all of which was very small in scale, but it was a start. But this began to change at the end of 2022 when we purchased Southward from Wayward, because at that point we could start to grow our own produce and go on from there. And so in 2023, after we acquired Southward, we started to experiment with a wide range of herbs, fruits, and vegetables to see what would work. In the end, we decided to focus on rhubarb, so we planted them en masse in 2024 and harvested it in 2025. We also had honey harvested from Stomarian hives in 2025. We split, bagged, tagged, and seasoned pine logs in 2025. We began to use our renewable energy more frequently in 2025. And we opened up the land to more paying tourists in 2025. So things have been quite slow to get off the ground, but it is safe to say that we are making progress. Well, I think that'll do it for this particular video, but if there are any questions or concerns that people may have about Stomaria, its history, its values, or whatever else, please feel free to let us know in the comment section below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you want to learn more about Stomaria or play an active role in our development and expansion, visit our website at www.stomaria.com and find out what it means to be a Stomarian.